Hello friends, welcome to Analytics IS Academy and our YouTube channel. Let's crack IS with Analytics IS, where we have been doing a series of lectures targeting UPSC CSC Prelims 2020, where in this particular session of polity I have been doing some important concepts, some important areas related with Indian polity and constitution, where I have already discussed a certain important aspect of Indian constitution and polity. And in this lecture, I am going to discuss with you people part 8 of Indian constitution that deals with union territory. And before that, we have already discussed other important areas of Indian polity. So all those who are seeing this particular video, good evening to all of you. We have already discussed part 1 of Indian constitution that deals with union and its territory. We have already discussed citizenship. We have discussed part 3 fundamental right. Part 4 we have discussed part 4a. Then we have discussed union government, state government. Part 7 has been repealed from Indian constitution, that we have already discussed. And I have already discussed with you people part 9 and part 9a that deals with Panchayati Raj institution and urban local bodies. So these areas I have already discussed with you people, and after completion of this particular part 8, we have been in a position where we have already covered these 9 important part of Indian constitution, from where questions have been asked repeatedly in UPSC prelims examination year after year. So friends, these are the core areas, these are the foundational area of our Indian polity and constitution section, and in this particular session of 1 hour, I am going to discuss with you people one important area of Indian constitution that deals with union territory. So in this particular session we are going to discuss that why there is a need for creation of union territory, the kind of the federal setup that we have adopted, where we were aspiring to become a federal country like US. So what is the necessity to maintain such union territories that tries to tell the balance in favor of unitary setup. सो जब मैं आपके साथ डिस्कस कर रहा था फीचर्स ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, जहाँ पे हमने आपके साथ डिस्कस किए थे सम फेडरल फीचर्स, सम यूनिटरी फीचर्स, the same thing I discuss with you people while discussing a debate regarding federalism, when we discuss that Indian constitutional setup is regarded as quasi-federal. All these things we have already discussed, and friends, repeatedly I have been discussing with you people that along with federal characteristics, some unitary features were also present in Indian constitution. So presence of these union territories, that is one such unitary feature present in Indian federal constitution that you have to keep in your mind. So before starting this particular lecture on union territories, I just want to remind you people that we have discussed part 1. The title of part 1 was Union and its territory, where we have discussed how states got evolved in India, how number of territories which were earlier union territories, how they were transformed into state. Very recently one full-fledged state like Jammu and Kashmir was demoted and it was made a union territory. So all these things we are going to discuss in this particular lecture, ki why we need a territory known as union territory in Indian federal constitution. That rationale, as we have discussed in all other previous topics, that we try to go behind the reason, logic, rationale behind that particular thing which is there in Indian constitution. So if something is there, why it is there, we try to understand. Then we will try to understand genesis of these union territories, how over a period of time, starting from 6 union territories, how at one point of time there were 10 union territories, and how presently again right now there are 8 union territories that we can classify into 2 categories: certain union territories with legislative assemblies and certain union territories without legislative assemblies. So all these things we are going to discuss in this particular lecture, that is genesis of union territories. And after that, after such introduction about these union territories, कि ये union territories क्या हैं, इनकी क्या ज़रूरत है, we will try to understand the administration and legislation in these union territories. So that will be the scope of our this particular lecture, as we have been discussing in all our previous topics, and I tried to give you a basic understanding, a clear cut understanding about these concepts. Same thing we will try to follow in this particular lecture about union territory also, which can be one important aspect from this year prelims point of view. So friends, before dwelling into this particular topic, before entering into this topic, on your screen you may see that these are the various part of Indian Constitution. So in totality there might be 22 parts. Not all these parts we will be able to discuss in this crash course, but definitely those important areas at the very beginning I discussed with you people, that those important area I will discuss with you, from where questions have been asked repeatedly in UPSC prelims examination. So you might have gone through all these 22 parts, but we are trying to find out some areas which I am referring as core areas, foundational areas that has attracted imagination of UPSC year after year, and from where most of the questions from Indian polity and constitutions have been asked. So before entering into this chapter of union territory, on your screen you may see the same thing that I discussed with you people while discussing federalism at one point of time, that in Indian constitution there are two types of political units. On one side we are referring as union, and other side we are referring states, and we have discussed while discussing federalism that there exists some sort of distribution of power, some sort of division of power that is mentioned in Schedule 7 of Indian Constitution, where list 1, list 2 and list 3 has been mentioned in terms of union list, state list and concurrent list. On union lists are those subjects where uniformity is needed, where union parliament can enact a law which may be applicable for entire India, while state list consists of those subjects which requires a specific orientation, people living in different parts of the state, and because of that those subjects have been kept under a state list. So such kind of distribution of power that existed between union government on one side and various state governments on other side. Then there is a new entity known as union territories. So union territories are those territories, friends, which are directly administered by union and which are under supervision of union, under control of union, and these are the certain territories that will be administered by union government, and laws, legislations, enactment will be designed by union government. So that is something new. So the kind of the federalism we have been discussing while discussing federalism in India, that kind of the distribution of power we discuss between union and state government. So frequent elections take place for union government, frequent elections take place for state government. We will try to understand that what are these kind of the territories which we are referring as unitary territories, and on your screen you may see that federal relation that might exist between union and these 28 state governments, but presence of these 7 or 8 or at one point of time there were 10 union territories in India. That is one such unitary feature that shows a kind of unitary relationship where these territories will be governed, these territories will be administered by union government. So this thing you have to keep in your mind. So now we will try to understand that what is the reason behind creation of these union territories. When we boast ourselves as a federal country, a number of constitution makers, they have referred Indian constitution as federal constitution, federal setup. Then what were those reasons? Because of that these union territories were created. So these reasons that may vary from cultural reasons, security reasons, strategic reasons, political reasons, and other special consideration. And because of these cultural uniqueness, because of security concerns, because of strategic importance, because of some political or administrative reasons, at different point of time these union territories have been created. So if you see the example of Daman and Diu, Dadar and Nagar Haveli, those two union territories that have been recently merged, and that merger came into force since January 2020, even though bill was passed in November 2019. So here you will find that Dadar and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, they have been created as union territory because of some cultural uniqueness. both these territories were earlier governed by Portuguese. So, in case of Pondicherry, also earlier it was part of French colonization. So, cultural uniqueness, cultural diversity, in order to preserve that thing, we have made it as a union territories. In case of J&K, very recently we found that status of J&K as a full-fledged state has been demoted, and it has been made a union territories because of security concerns, as it shares its border with China, it shares its border with Pakistan, and in recent years there have been news that external state players were involved in these Jammu and Kashmir, in Ladakh region, and because of that our policy makers, they decided to transform it from a full-fledged state towards union territories because of some security concern. In case of Andaman and Nicobar, in case of Lakshadweep, you will find that they provide some strategic depth to Indian Navy in Bay of Bengal, in Arabian Ocean, Arabian Sea. So, because of these strategic reasons, वैसे मलाक्का स्ट्रेट इज़ देयर, आपने ज्योग्राफी में उसके बारे में पढ़ा होगा, what is the strategic importance of that strait, and because of that Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep has been created as a union territories. Then in case of Chandigarh, since it was demanded by both Punjab as well as Haryana, Delhi, which is a seat of power for union government as well as people of Delhi, because of these political and administrative reasons, Delhi and Chandigarh has been made union territories. So friends, because of these different regions, there have been different concerns, different consideration. Because of that, these territories have been created as union territories. So जहाँ तक reasons की बात है, these reasons may vary from cultural reasons, from security reasons, from strategic reasons, political reasons, administrative reasons. इन reasons की वजह से future में भी union territories create की जा सकती हैं, and these are the territories that requires a special attention of union government. So in case of J&K, because of security concerns, that since 1990s, even though armed forces have been deployed there, but security situation we have not been able to resolve issues, and because of that many times it may happen that earlier there was article 370, because of which such kind of the interference from union, it was not possible. After creation of two union territories, now it will be under more supervision, under direct supervision of union government. So friends, there can be different reasons for creation of different kind of union territories that you have to keep in your mind. So as far as genesis of union territories are concerned, as we have discussed in our previous topics also, कि हमने हर जगह पे एक जेनेसिस ट्रेस करने की कोशिश की है कि कैसे ये चीज़ हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में आया. तो you will find that at the time of inception of the constitution there was no such territory known as union territories, or since 1950s when our constitution came into force, while discussing part 1 of Indian constitution, that is union and its territory, हमने आपके साथ डिस्कस किया था कि there have been demand from different quarters of the society, different regions of the society for reorganization of a state, and there was one popular demand for linguistic reorganization of a state, और बहुत सारी कमेटीज, बहुत सारे कमीशंस उसमें बनाए गए थे, and these committees and commissions, as we have already discussed, that these committees and commissions which were formed at that time, different committees and different commissions, as you have seen on screen, same thing I have already discussed in part 1 of Indian constitution. So in those committees and commissions, there was one committee headed by Fazal Ali committee, and that committee recommended that there should be some centrally administered areas. So it recommended for creation of 3 such centrally administered area, even though it accepted that creation of new state on linguistic ground, but it rejected theory of one language and one state. This part we have already discussed while discussing part 1 of Indian constitution, कि कैसे इंडिया में स्टेट्स इवॉल्व हुए, कैसे लिंग्विस्टिक रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन हुआ. बट यहाँ पे जो चीज़ मैं एम्फेसाइज करना चाह रहा हूँ कि दिस टर्म यूनियन टेरिटरी वॉज नो वेयर मैंशन at the time of inception of constitution. For the first time, this Fazal Ali commission recommended for creation of 3 centrally administered areas, and later on in 1956 six such union territories were created by union government. Even though Fazal Ali Commission used the term centrally administered area, but it was transformed into union territories, and later on number of new union territories were created. Presently, if you see in 2020, so there are 8 such union territories that you can classify into categories. There are certain union territories like Jammu and Kashmir, like Delhi, like Pondicherry. These three union territories, they come in category of those union territories that have their own legislative assembly, while other 5 union territories are those that are devoid of any legislative assembly. So after having such a short introduction about these union territories, now I will discuss with you people administration and legislation of these union territories. So article 239 of Indian Constitution, that you have to keep in your mind. It says that these union territories are administered by President of India. So President of India himself directly will not administer, rather he will appoint his own representative, which has been referred as Lieutenant Governor, Chief Commissioner, or administered in different union territories. So this designation is different in different kind of union territories. In some union territories, this person who has been appointed by President for administration of these union territories may be referred as administrator. In other union territories, this person has been referred as Lieutenant Governor. So as far as executive powers are concerned, so executive powers will be exercised by President with the help of this administrator and Lieutenant Governor. And now as far as legislative functions are concerned, so Parliament enacts legislation for these union territories on all subjects which are mentioned in list 2 and list 3 of शेड्यूल 7, एक्सेप्ट दोज यूनियन टेरिटरीज फ्रेंड्स जिनको अलग से अपनी लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली प्रोवाइड की गई है। और इसके लिए हमने आपको साथ डिस्कस किया था कि इन सारी यूनियन टेरिटरीज को यू कैन डिवाइड इनटू 2 कैटेगरीज. One category of those union territories that have legislative assemblies like Delhi, Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir, and second is those union territories that are devoid of legislative assemblies. So that you have to keep in your mind. So as far as legislation of those union territories that have been provided with their own legislative assemblies. So भले ही इन्हें legislative assemblies provide की गई हैं. In case of National Capital Territory of Delhi आप पाएंगे कि legislative assembly of Delhi, it can legislate on all subjects in state list except on police, law and order, and matters related to urban land planning. So these matters Delhi Legislative Assembly cannot enact. And while discussing state legislature, अगर आप लोग को याद हो तो हमने आपके साथ डिस्कस किया था कि बहुत सारे ऐसे बिल होते हैं स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर के लेवल में जहाँ पे बिल इंट्रोड्यूस करने से पहले प्रायर रिकमेंडेशन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट इज रिक्वायर्ड. और बहुत सारे ऐसे बिल हमने आपके साथ डिस्कस किए थे कि आफ्टर बीइंग पास बाय legislative assembly or both the houses of legislature at the state level, governor may reserve that bill for the reconsideration of president. So here also, even though these legislative assemblies are there in these union territories, but parliament will have overriding legislative power over any law passed by legislative assemblies of these 3 union territories. So those restrictions that we have discussed in case of other states कि वहाँ पे प्रेसिडेंट के प्रायर अप्रूवल या आफ्टर पैसेज रिकंसिडरेशन की ज़रूरत पड़ती है, दैट विल बी एप्लीकेबल हियर. एट द सेम टाइम आई एम सेइंग कि देयर विल बी एनी कन्फ्लिक्ट देन इनैक्टमेंट मेड बाई legislative assembly of these union territories will stand inferior in front of the law made by union parliament. This thing you have to keep in your mind. So what about those union territories that are without legislature? For them I am saying that all such legislations enactment will be designed, drafted by Ministry of Home Affairs, and after being passed by both the houses of parliament and with presidential approval, it will become an act. So union parliament can legislate for those union territories that are there without any legislature, and in order to take into consideration the concerns of these union territories that are devoid of legislature, their popular concern, there is one nodal agency known as Home Ministry Advisory Council that gives representation to member of parliament from these union territories, members from local bodies from these union territories, just to take into consideration the demands and aspirations of local people. That thing you have to keep in your mind. So as far as creation of लेजिस्लेचर इज कंसर्न, सो आर्टिकल 239A, और जहाँ पे भी ए मेंशन होता है हमने आपके साथ डिस्कस किया है कि इट इज़ न्यू एडिशन. सो आर्टिकल 239A इट टॉक्स अबाउट creation of legislature or council of minister for union territory of Pondicherry. So as per article 239A, Puducherry union territory has been provided with its own legislator and its own council of minister. So powers and functions will be specified as per law. That you have to keep in your mind. And similarly 239AA, which was added through 69 Constitutional Amendment Act, it provides similar thing in case of Delhi, where it says that Delhi will have a legislative assembly of 70 members, where strength of council of ministers should not exceed 7, except these three matters that I have already discussed, that is urban land, police and public order. Legislative assembly of Delhi will be eligible to enact laws on all matters in state list, but yes, union parliament shall have overriding legislative power on the laws passed by state legislative assembly. In a similar manner, it has been provided with its own council of minister along with lieutenant governor, those who will be responsible for discharge of executive functions for union territory or national capital territory of Delhi. Except Delhi, no other union territory has been provided with its own high court. So article 239AA, it talks about a separate high court for union territory of Delhi, which we are referring here as national capital territory of Delhi. So article 239AB, it deals with imposition of emergency in union territories, where it says that provisions of article 356, if you remember, we have already discussed article 356 for imposition of emergency in event of failure of constitutional machinery is not applicable to union territories with assembly. Imposition of such emergency in these union territories can be effected by provisions mentioned in the State Reorganization Act, through which these union territories were created. So here we are saying that 356 may not be applicable in case of these union territories, and article 241 it talks about that parliament may by law can provide for a separate high court for one or other union territories. Other union territories, they have been kept under jurisdiction of nearby high court, and on your screen you may see that these union territories they have been kept under jurisdiction of nearby high court, except in case of Delhi, which has been provided with its own high court. That you have to keep in your mind. And now one important aspect that we are want to discuss with you people, that except 3 union territories with assemblies, no other union territories has representation in upper house of parliament. So हर यूनियन टेरिटरी के पास एक लोकसभा की सीट है. जम्मू एंड कश्मीर जिसको भी रिसेंटली यूनियन टेरिटरीज बनाया गया, उनके पास 5 लोकसभा की सीट है, और दिल्ली के पास 7 लोकसभा की सीट है. एज फार एज assembly seats are concerned, so Jammu and Kashmir has 114 assembly seats, out of which 24 seats shall be reserved for that part of Kashmir that is being occupied by Pakistan, POK जिसे हम बोल रहे हैं. So as far as power of lieutenant governor is concerned, so lieutenant governor will be the representative of president, as we have discussed in case of union territories. So CM and council of minister in union territories with assemblies appointed by president and sworn in by lieutenant governor should generally abide by the advice of elected council of minister. बट बोल रहे हैं कि अगर कोई कन्फ्लिक्ट होता है, जैसा हमने दिल्ली के केस में रिपीटेडली डिस्कस किया है, इन केस ऑफ एनी कन्फ्लिक्ट बिटवीन ओपिनियन ऑफ CM एंड lieutenant governor, matter should be referred to president. So unlike governor, जिनके केस में हमने ऐसा डिस्कस किया था कि ही इज़ अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल हेड एट स्टेट लेवल, we were very specific when we were referring lieutenant governor as just a representative or an agent of president in union territories, because executive powers are vested with president of India and which will be discharged with the help of these representatives whom we are referring as either lieutenant governor or administrators. So friends, with this small discussion, I hope that now you will have a clear idea that why these union territories are there, why some union territories have been provided with legislative assembly, why other union territories have not been provided with legislative assembly. So this is one important aspect from where you may expect one question in your UPSC prelims examination. So I hope you would have liked this lecture and you would have developed some clear understanding about this particular topic of union territory. In next class, I will come up with interstate relation, which is another important aspect related with Indian polity and constitution. Till that, you should revise